Hey everybody, welcome! April layout update for Southern Alberta Rail's Crow's Nest subdivision. Happy to say trains are running again. So if you recall, back in the February-March update, I tore out about 10 feet of mainline to facilitate a reshaping or a remodeling of some benchwork on the lower level. That's been taken care of. I've got roadbed back in, track back in, everything's wired up, and the layout's back to being operational. Of course, with the main line severed, that created a traffic backlog. And once the engineering department released the work window, the RTC wasted no time in getting traffic rolling. Two heavy bulk trains, both with mid-train pusher sets, are heading west, and eastbound's climbing up towards Crow's Nest. Now this is going to make for some really interesting rail fanning up around the Burmis area. We'll head up there and check out the action once I show you quickly what I got done since the last layout update. So back in February and March update, I'd gotten all the scenery torn out of here. I'd gotten the benchwork stuffed in so it's nice and flush with the upper level, and I moved a cabinet underneath here. So this cabinet here was essentially here. It got shuffled down here with the big chop that happened. You'll see that it's got a new home here. I didn't like the amount of storage I was going to end up with here because this was too pinched up against the next one in line that supports the center peninsula. So now it's going to sit here, and then I took one of the supports for the bike rack from over there and I put it here. It's just a single. So the beauty of these cabinets is they're nice and flexible. You can reconfigure them any way you want. You can build them any way you want, and you can move them anywhere you need to move them. I did a series actually during all this realignment for the members on cabinetry. So if you're interested in learning how I build my cabinetry and why I build my cabinetry, check out the Y series on cabinets over on the member side of the channel. So of course, with the Lundbreck Realignment, roadbed's gone back in, all the risers in place, wired up, track is painted. Now we're going from a 0% grade here, transitioning to 1%, and then gradually transitioning from here to 185. So in the Lundbreck series, I go over how to get nice smooth transitions from a level track into your curves. Also how I'm doing the super elevation in my curves. All my tracks got super elevation. This is all super elevated all through here, and really happy and really pleased with how smooth things are. Of course, one of the main concerns I had before, and the reason why all this went down, is because of the lighting. And you can see here that we've got good lighting here, whereas before, with the benchwork out here, these trains would have been all backlit. Now, light's where I want it to be. Also, great access to the upper level here. Easy access to the Burmis crossovers, and I can now actually reach the Burmis log reload tracks back here. I used to have to delay uncouple and push cars into here. Now I can push them in, uncouple them up here. So this has all turned out quite well. Really pleased with what's going on here. Going forward, part 5 in the Lundbreck series, there's been 4 so far, which is demolition construction, risers roadbed, track, super elevation, and of course wiring and paint is 4. Number 5 is going to cover putting fascia on and addressing the backdrop here. I'm thinking probably a full repaint on the backdrop, not a big deal. I enjoy painting backdrop, get the fascia in, and then I can start throwing styrofoam down and getting the scenery roughed in. Really looking forward to that. I kind of got an idea how the scene's going to come together. The Crow's Nest River might make a brief appearance through here. We'll see how the slope turns out. I don't want this to be too steep a slope, but in the area, in the Lundbreck area, it does follow the Crow's Nest River. So if I've got some room to put it in here, it's going to make another appearance. Now that being said, whatever happens here likely is going to affect what goes on further up the hill. There could be another tunnel removal in the works here. Along with the realignment, I was really pushing to get as many aspen trees built as possible. Let's pop outside and see how I made out. All right, so how do we make out with trees here? Well, I managed to get 200 done to completion through the various snowstorms that we've had over the last 3 or 4 weeks. That's the beauty of springtime in Alberta. However, I ran out of flocking with these 200. So I concentrated on getting trees done to just the pre-flocking stage here. So there's another 200 sitting here. These guys are all painted, ready to go. I've got the wax on, they've been torched, and I got all the bark detail. So it's just a matter of spray gluing these guys, rolling them in the flocking, and they'll be done as well. However, these used up the rest of my wax. So I went shopping around my local sources for white crayons, can't find any white crayons. Went online, can't find any white crayons in all of Canada for some strange reason. So ended up ordering 72 crayons out of the Chicago area, and that's going to take care of the rest of these 100 I have left over here, and that's going to give me the 500 trees I'm shooting for. So I've got another 100 masters all spun up. These need to be clipped, trimmed, first coat of paint, waxed, painted, and they'll be done too. So all told, we're well on our way to the 500 trees that I was shooting for back in the February-March layout update. So there you go, had a relatively productive month of construction. Now let's hop in the company truck and go do a little rail fanning. Listening in on the scanner, our first westbound's about milepost 43. We should be able to catch him coming out of the tunnel at 45.2. This is a unit bulk sulfur train that originated on the Pectin sub. The Pectin sub runs south from Brockett, Alberta to Shell's Pectin facility. Now traditionally, when the Crow's Nest sub was a CP entity, this train would have run east back to Kip, north to Calgary, and then on to Vancouver over CP's Mainline. However, in my world, this train travels west over both the Crow's Nest and Cranbrook subs to Fort Steele, north on the Windermere sub to Golden, and then west over CP's Mainline to Vancouver for export. Burmis is the longest siding on the Crow's Nest sub and is right at the top of the 1.85% grade. All the grades west of Burmis are 1% or lower, and trains tend to be able to handle that without any additional help. So with the installation of a mid-siding crossover, this became the ideal spot to cut out mid-train pushers. With heavy westbound shedding their pushers at Burmis, it tends to be a bit of a bottleneck, and as a result draws piles of attention from rail fans. You can almost always count on something interesting happening between milepost 47.8 and 49.9. With the pushers out and the sulfur train coupled back together, push 1 makes its way down to the east switch at Burmis to wait on 5727 loaded potash coming up the hill. They've been instructed by the RTC to sneak down to the east switch at Burmis to give enough room for our eastbound manifest train to get into the siding, clear up, and allow 705, our loaded sulfur train, to continue westward. This will free up the main line for our second heavy westbound of the day, 5727, to sneak in between switches at Burmis. Once clear of the east switch, push 1 and 101, our eastbound manifest, can proceed east down the hill. F45 101 is leading the eastbound manifest as it clears main track at the west switch Burmis, milepost 49.9. Now the RTC has instructed 101 to sneak up to push 1 at the east switch, couple up, and send both trains down as one movement to save both paperwork and time. A short while later, Union Pacific 5727 rattles over the east switch, milepost 47.8 at Burmis. Now this is a loaded potash train bound for the export terminal in Portland, Oregon. These trains are set up a little bit different and require special handling with pusher crews. Now these trains are usually configured with 2 units on the point, 1 in the middle, and 1 DPU on the tail end. Pusher crews cut in directly behind the mid-train DPU to assist these trains from Pincher up to the Burmis crossovers. And with the potash train clear of the east switch at Burmis, 101 and push 1 can head east down the hill as one movement. Now when traffic is heavy and there's multiple pusher sets working the hill, Burmis can kind of be like a game of leapfrog. 101 now has to get on its way so that the potash train can get its pushers cut out of the middle of its train. Of course, once those pushers are out and the trains slam back together, 5727 will continue west on a track warrant, and push 2 will likely head down the hill on the heels of 101. The most high priority movement on the layout during an op session is the pushers. If you get them stuck at the top of the hill, the railroad's going to come to a grinding halt. Therefore, the RTC will use any opportunity to send them down with another train as a single movement, or if both pusher sets end up at Burmis at the same time, couple them both together and run them down as one movement. If you want to follow along with the Lundbreck Realignment series and get access to piles of other detailed behind-the-scenes videos, consider joining the channel to get access to my members-only content. Don't forget to hit that like button if you dig what you see, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you back here in a month's time. I should have a bunch of scenery roughed in the Lundbreck area. Thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time.